Hey, 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 it's me, Stephanie Nietzsche, and if you are a writer or an author who is thinking about quitting, don't you dare, because this video right here is for you. Now, there are some fabulous authors, iconic authors out there who have written bestsellers. They're classics, but they weren't discovered until years later. So many years later that some of the authors are dead. But now I am going to share with you those authors and those titles to tell you, don't give up. So first we're going to start with a book that I have. I think I have all these books anyway, but we're going to start with The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Now that was published in 1925 and it initially received lukewarm reviews and sold poorly. It wasn't until the 1940s, after Fitzgerald's death, that the book gained widespread acclaim, partly due to its inclusion in school curricula. Then we have Moby Dick by Herman Melville, and that was published in 1851. It was a commercial failure in Melville's lifetime, selling only a few thousand copies. Can you believe that? The book didn't achieve recognition as a masterpiece until the 20th century. It really is all about timing. Then we have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. That was published in 1818, and while it had some success early on, its cultural impact and critical recognition grew much later, especially with the rise of Gothic and horror fiction in the 20th century. Again, timing. And look at this. All movies, those first three, the classics. Okay, then we have Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman, and that was published in 1855. And it initially met with criticism and controversy. It's a collection of poetry, and it didn't find widespread appreciation until decades later. And Whitman revised it multiple times. Then we have a book that I had to read in school. I don't know about you. The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, and that was published in 1951. While it did decently upon release, it didn't achieve its iconic status until the 1960s, when it resonated with the countercultural movements. Do I need to say it? Timing. Okay. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl, and that was published in 1947. Although it gained attention shortly after publication, it wasn't until the 1950s and the 1960s that it became a global phenomenon, partly due to stage and film adaptations. That was another book I had to read in school. Okay, so another book I have, The Road by Cormac McCarthy. That was published in 2006, and it initially received critical acclaim, but didn't explode in popularity until it won the Pulitzer Prize in 2007 and was adapted into a film in 2009. Like I said, I have the book. I saw the film, and I loved it. Okay, The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, published in 1937, and while it had moderate success initially, its popularity soared. Do you know when its popularity soared? Decades later, when the Lord of the Rings trilogy created a massive following. Need I say it? Timing. The Alchemist is next, with Paul Coelho, another book I have. So many people talk about this book too. Published in 1988, it only sold a few hundred copies at first and was dropped by its publisher. I bet they're sorry about that. Years later, it became one of the best-selling books of all time. I mean, people still quote it. People still talk about it. Last but not least is another book I have. It's banned. And its title, can you guess that one? To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And that was published in 1960. And although it was critically acclaimed, its full cultural impact developed over time as discussions about race and justice became more prominent. Once again, it's all about the timing. So, in a nutshell, those are the reasons why, if you are an author, if you are a writer, and you cannot find readers, your books or poetry are not selling, possibly it's not the right time. But that doesn't mean you should stop writing, and that definitely does not mean that you should stop publishing. So just continue what you're doing. Have a little patience and wait. I'm Stephanie Nietzsche. Keep writing, and I will see you next time.